So, sorry. I'm hoping that we will start and finish this webinar on time. So you're all very welcome from all over. We can see how many people are coming in there from all over the country. So delighted to have you all here this evening. My name is Michelle Hart, and I am the Shielta Ashton Manager for the National Childhood Network. And I'm also the person who has developed and created the Nurturing Emotional Wellbeing. So a lot of the training, all of the training that you would have received on the emotional wellbeing, I designed that. And obviously I've had great help and feedback from yourselves and from our tutors in helping us to make the programme as well as it can be. I would like to welcome you all to our information session on completing the Healthy Ireland Smart Start Birth to 3 self-assessment questionnaire. And it's one area that you guys have asked us for some support in. So I'm hoping that you will really benefit from tonight and that you will enjoy the session. I want to just to let everybody know, prior to your training, you would have come in and been able to see all the participants, but tonight you will only be able to see the panel because we will be sharing examples of practice with you and information. So you will only be able to see the panel, and I want to encourage you to use the chat function and the Q&A as part of this evening. So that's how you will be able to engage with us. So just a little reminder for that. We're delighted to see so many of you coming out this evening. We had another session last night, and it was as full and as busy as this one as well. And just to say that the National Childhood Network is dedicated to promoting the health, wellbeing, learning and development of children. But from 2021, along with the HSE, we have become more focused in working to support the health and well-being of early childhood educators through the HISS programme. And in 2021, promoting the health and well-being of the sector in general is becoming an even greater topic of concern, given the many challenges that the sector faces. So NCN, the National Childhood Network, along with many other support representatives, are working with the Department of Children to share information on supports that are available. And at the end of my presentation, I will give you some information about looking after your own well-being that the HSE are providing for free on stress control. And I'll show that to you at the very end of the Nurturing Emotional Wellbeing. Tonight, the purpose of our session is to provide information that we hope will support you in completing the self-evaluation questionnaire, which in turn should assist you in achieving the Healthy Ireland Award. And just to remind you, there's no obligation on you or any pressure in any service to attain the Healthy Ireland Award. But if you want to go for it, we really want you to be successful in achieving it. The Healthy Ireland Award will provide recognition for all the hard work that you are already doing in your service every day, promoting children's health and well-being. And just a little reminder, just to say that there are 2 validation dates that you can submit your portfolio of evidence this year. And the first date is the 27th of May, 2022, and the 15th of December, 2022. And I also wanted to say on behalf of NCN, a big thank you to all of you for coming, and that we will be looking at other ways to try and recognise the work that you guys are doing in relation to promoting children's health and well-being. The numbers attending tonight are testimony to your hard work and commitment to children, their families and to the sector. And I suppose our vision is that childhood services will be health promoting services in the future that impact positively on children's health and well-being and are recognised and valued by parents, communities, the HSE, TUSLA and the Department of Education Inspectorate. We will be recording this session so that you can view and hear the information again and perhaps share it with your colleagues. As the one we did last night, Maureen has put it up on the YouTube channel. So we will be doing the same with this session as well. So you will be able to go back and look at the recording if you miss anything, or you want to look at something again in order to help you with the self-assessment questionnaire. And I suppose to help you collate your evidence in demonstrating how you are promoting children's health under each heading of the programme. There are only 5 modules in the Healthy Ireland Smart Start programme now. The focus on health and safety is no longer included. So if it says in the questionnaire 6 modules, please disregard that information. The modules are nutrition, nurturing emotional well-being, physical activity, health promotion, and oral health. And the other thing I want to say to you is, if you would like to send your information to us, your portfolio to us electronically, you can using a USB key, and we would very much welcome that. And you know, we could be saving a few trees along the way if that was something that you guys wanted to do. So I suppose it would take the pressure off you if you didn't want to print anything. I would also like to welcome and introduce the panel, which you can see just along the top row there, who will be supporting you tonight. And you will recognize these wonderful people as our HISS tutors. So just to give you a little rundown of tonight's session, let's see, have I got a question? What is the YouTube? Don't worry, Kathleen, we'll give you all those details in relation to the recordings. So what I want to do is to give you a little rundown of what is going to be covered tonight. So Abina McCarthy, that you can see up there, give us a little wave there, Abina, will be covering health promotion tonight, and she's going to take us through the self-assessment questionnaire. I will cover emotional well-being, nurturing emotional well-being myself, and I will give you some examples, real examples of practice that you guys have been sending me in for our very first portfolios for the birth 3. Then we have Helen. Where are you, Helen? Ryan is going to be covering physical activity. And then we have Claire O'Shea, who will cover nutrition. Claire's not here at the minute, but she will be coming in. And then we have Natasha, and Natasha, not last but not least, will we're saving the best to last, Natasha, and she will be covering oral health. So as I say, we want to start and finish on time. So we're going to get right into it. And we're going to start with Albina, and she is going to cover health promotion. So don't forget, if you've got any questions, use the Q&A box or the chat function, and Maureen and I will keep an eye on both of those for you. So Albina, take it away.
Oh, thank you so much, Michelle. I'm going to share my screen now. And here we go. Give us a shout there. Can everyone see that?
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. Excellent. Okay, so everybody should be familiar with this. This is your self-assessment questionnaire, and Michelle went down through a lot of the points there to look out for, but please read as well your self-assessment guidelines before you complete the questionnaire, just in case you miss anything. There's 2 submission dates and everything is there. So I'm just going to give you a bit of a flavor of what the self-assessment questionnaire looks like. The very first thing you're asked is health promotion. Now, you would have covered health promotion on the first night of your training, but it's actually the last thing that you should complete in your self-assessment. As this is reflective, draw on from your experiences that you have done over the year and explain how you've applied the 7 health promotion principles in your setting. So here we go. We're asked for each of these health promotion principles, we're asked for the definition. You're given the definition here. It's either written in red writing, or I might write it in blue writing. These definitions come from the first 5 website, or in your manual, at the back of your manual on your health promotion, the definition is also given. So either definition does just fine. And then underneath, you're asked to give in 200 words, this is what 200 words roughly looks like. You're asked to give in 200 words how you apply this principle in your setting. For the purposes of tonight, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you the definition, one or two of them, and I'm actually going to give you two examples. You're only asked for one, but I'm just going to give you two just to give you, I suppose, a better flavor of what you could write down in your self-assessment. Okay, so here we go. Very first one you're asked about is empowerment, and there's 7 of them that we're going to cover. So I'm afraid my presentation is a bit long and wordy, so please bear with me anyway as we go down through it. So empowerment, what does it mean? This definition has been given by First 5. It means the development of both the individual and the community's capacity to enhance their own health and the removal of barriers to achieve health. So two examples I've given here. If you go over your word count, as I did here, that's absolutely fine, because sometimes you need to do that to set the scene. If you go under the word count, that's absolutely fine too. 154, that's a good enough answer. So the first thing I said here as an example is, when a setting decided to review the policy and procedures and make sure that health promotion is now the core of their business. So for us, empowerment means that we all are well positioned to encourage and facilitate children to care for their own health through everyday provision and practices within our service. Promoting children's overall health and well-being is now core to our service, and this is reflected in our new ethos and threaded throughout other policies and procedures such as healthy eating, nurturing positive behaviour, partnership with families, to name just a few. And below, please find our updated ethos. And all of that was 241 words. So it's not a lot. Another example you give is if you empowered children by teaching them a new technique, or you teaching them new words and phrases. So let's look at the children maybe in your toddler room. And as we know, children in 2-year-olds, they're growing, developing, and they're learning so much, especially social skills and language skills. And for every one word they can say, they understand 100 more. So you can imagine if you have toddlers that can have 2-worded sentences, they understand so much more. So try and use that as well when you're teaching them about feelings, empathy, being compassionate to others. So this service said, daily we ensure children are in a nurturing and supportive environment when they are encouraged and empowered to care for their own health through everyday provision and practices within our service. We particularly praise when a child articulates their frustration with others using words instead of lashing out and hurting others. We have placed a lot of focus on giving young children words and phrases to use when they are looking to take turns or stop a child who might be hurting them. We were surprised to see how successful it has been to teach children the phrase, stop, I don't like it. And you can adjust that at this time of year. It might be stop. And then you develop the phrase as the year goes on. So you might add something like that in. It is such an empowering phrase and easy for young children to say and understand. This focus on teaching age-appropriate words and phrases to express feelings and emotion has certainly helped to reduce conflicts and tantrums throughout the day as children feel empowered and capable to express themselves. And that was only 154 words. Another example you could give is if you taught children how to correctly wash their hands. So you're teaching them to look after their own personal care and social skills like that as well, using in part with that the Rufus song. So I know a lot of the year services are already doing things like that, and it's just about, I suppose, highlighting the good work you're already doing and putting it all together. Just in case we haven't mentioned already, if you have a baby room and a toddler room, you don't need to give one answer from the baby room and one answer for the toddler room. It's a whole service approach. So you're only asked for 200 words. That will be the answer underneath your principle. Okay, so that's principle number 1. I hope that's okay. We go in here now to the next one, participation. Participation definition here, and you can use this directly. Everyone should be encouraged and allowed to participate in the decisions that affect their health. And I've given one example here for your particular age group in 250 words. And I've said about the development of a sugar board. So in your setting, you might decide to do, and I know some services came back and said they've done this, that they have designed a sugar board, particularly for the baby room and particularly for the toddler room, because parents are coming in two different areas, or they're coming to the doors in two different places. And they particularly wanted to focus on the foods marketed to a baby age group and marketed to a toddler age group. So you can do that as well, or you can do one sugar board, whatever works best for your service. You don't have to do one, but this I thought fit in nicely for participation. So in February, we sent out a letter using the template provided by the Healthy Ireland training via email to all our families, explaining how we were going to implement this program and reviewing our procedures. And this helped to prepare families. One of our main concerns was the types of foods being provided by families for their 10 a.m. snack. It has always been an issue for us. We send out information packs listing the foods accessible and not acceptable, but still we see things coming in like penguin bars and digestive biscuits and cereal bars. So we decided to place a big focus and drive on this after seeing the impact the sugary snacks and drinks are having on children's oral health and well-being from the HISS training. We developed a sugar board displaying the packages and sugar content of each of the items. And we were even surprised with the sugar content, and so were families. We posted the board on our Facebook page. And I suppose that's great as well if you start highlighting how creative you have to be now because of COVID-19 and the restrictions that have put on parents being able to access your service. So using WhatsApp, Facebook page, or emails out to parents, if you use all that, mention all that too. We also posted some slides from the oral health module showing decayed teeth. And that will be great too, that you're taking the information directly from the manual and you're sharing it out as well with parents, as well as with videos or any clips as well. We also emailed families what we would like to see children bring in as part of their healthy snack. This time by using photographs of some of the healthy snacks already coming in. By doing the sugar board and activities on oral health, we were really able to see that children were understanding the importance of healthy eating, and that this helped to empower and support families to make better choices too. The snacks provided improved so much that we took a photograph of every child with their healthy snack in our June newsletter and thanked all the families too for their cooperation and support. There's a couple of things to look out for this type of answer is, I suppose it's not tokenistic. You started at point A, you saw that there was an issue, you wrote down what you did to resolve it, what things surprised you, and what were the happy outcomes if there were any, okay? So I hope you can kind of pinpoint some things like that that you might apply in your setting. So that's participation, that's 2 down. Next one then is holistic. So for this now, again, I only have one example for you. And there's 2 definitions here that you can take. You can take this top one, or you can take this one here that's come directly from your manual. Either one will do just fine. The first one is from the First 5 website, which is a great resource, and I would encourage anybody to go on it as well, because you'll find out much more as well about healthy eating and more resources you can share with your families. So holistic, what does it mean? It means to take all aspects of the child's health into considerations, from feeding to nappy changing, play, the whole child. All dimensions of health should be taken into account. So for here, I was going to explain about the daily routine. And again, you only need to give one example, and it's 250 words. So I'm very conscious too that you might have a baby room, a wobble room, and a toddler room. You can kind of merge your examples together like I've done here to give one example that I've pinpointed different things from different rooms. So one example going forward from the 3 rooms or 2 rooms will do just fine. We understand that children's health, we understand children's emotional, mental, physical, nutritional, and oral health are important and interrelated. So our curriculum offers children an opportunity to develop in each of these areas within our daily routine. We begin the day by warmly greeting them every morning, and when possible, by their child's key worker. So you would have spoken a lot about that too when we were going down to nurturing emotional well-being. There is an opportunity to share important information with parents and guardians. For children who attend half or full days, we offer only healthy meals and snacks. And where possible, we encourage children to independently feed or choose what nutritional cereals, fruits, or snacks they would like throughout the day. This not only supports their physical, nutritional, and oral health, but also helps to empower them to see themselves as capable through the resources available at Free Play, including books, music, sensory materials such as treasure baskets, paint, sand, water play. We support children to explore, be resilient, develop skills and interests, problem solve, resolve conflicts with others, discuss feelings, friendships, and we praise behavior like including others and showing empathy. Because of the HISS program, we now place more focus on providing more movement and music and games in our curriculum. This not only promotes their fundamental movement skills, but it also has a positive impact on their emotional well-being. Now, what I thought about afterwards, instead of maybe we introduce more music and movement, you could say that you might have introduced more puppet and props into your home corner. We spoke a lot about that too in emotional well-being section. Or that you did more lap games as well with the children throughout the day. So they're easy things that you probably already do. It's just a matter of pulling it out. Like that's a typical daily routine, I think, in any early year service and the things that they provide. So it's about pulling it out and just explain it. And it's 205 words. So it's pretty straightforward there. Okay. So I hope that's clear on holistic. Now, equity. I really, really love this definition here. This comes from the First 5 website, and I think it hits the nail on the head. And I've given you 2 examples underneath it as well. So we'll go for the definition first. All aspects of our service is steeped in equity. What does this mean? The term equity refers to fairness and justice and is distinguished from equality, whereas equality means providing everything that is the same. Equity means recognizing that we do not all start from the same place, and we must acknowledge and make adjustments to imbalances. The process is ongoing, requires us to identify and overcome intentional and unintentional barriers arising from bias and systemic structures. So the definition given in your manual then says that equity is where everyone has equal access to the care they need for equal opportunities to lead a healthy life. So either one of those definitions would do just fine. I just particularly really like the one that comes from First 5. So the 2 examples that I could think of that you might apply to this scenario, if I reflect back over the year and the different things that we've done, and as I said, this section is all reflective. So sit down and think, well, what measures did you put in place to achieve this principle? So this service wrote that now that we are no more mindful and acknowledge the health inequalities in society that some people may face. That these could include limited knowledge and skills or facilities to cook healthy meals at home, coming from another country and not knowing maybe some of our public health messages on vitamin D supplementation policy, or the use of fluoride toothpaste only for children over the age of 2. So there you're showing direct things from your Healthy Ireland Smart Start program and how you're reflecting on it and making an impact then on your families. Because of this mindset, we ensure that all health promotion notices have a lot more visuals, and that they are written in a way that is accessible, especially if English is not the first language of the reader. With our recipes for our healthy food fun activities, we send them home to the families. So you might do that in your toddler enjoy, so that they can enjoy making these healthy foods at home as well with their families. And that these also include making pancakes, pizza faces, smoothies, egg and cress sandwiches, and fruit salad. We know that how busy parents are with young children, so we make this information accessible as possible by posting our health promotion messages on Facebook so that the whole community can see it, by email as well to families. It does not take as much time, or it's not as time consuming as we thought it might be, and all families really appreciate the support. And that's only 184 words. So I suppose the thing about that is just making your health promotion messages more accessible to families, and just taking into account, I suppose, the different diversities that are inside in your setting. Another example that you could use, I was thinking about, if some of your parents come from a very urban environment, and maybe you might reflected on this over the year, and what you've done, this service has done, is we now acknowledge the impact that different living conditions can have on a family's ability to engage in healthy behaviors, such as living in apartments or near a busy road can make it more challenging for families to enjoy outdoor play and nature. We understand that it's not impossible for families to enjoy the goodness of being active outdoors in nature, but it is more challenging to do so because of circumstances outside of their control. To support families to give children greater opportunities to play outdoors, we now utilize our outdoor space more. We changed our routine and developed the area so that we have more free play during the day, and children can freely move around outdoors while still enjoying activities that would traditionally have been done indoors, such as painting and puzzles. With more opportunity for robust play, fresh air, and physical movement, we have seen a reduction in conflict between children in general, and a calmer environment each day. And that was 159 words. So that's a setting, just looking at the dynamics inside the room and thinking, do you know what? These children, I think, a whole lot of their day need greater time and space for more outdoor robust play. Can we provide that if it's more of a challenge for families to try and provide that as well? Okay, so simple enough kind of examples there. I hope that's clear. Michelle, can I ask you, am I coming across clear, or am I talking too fast? Will you give me some feedback there?
No, you're grand, Abina.
Cool.
I do have a question here from Siobhan Nugent,
Okay.
and it was in relation to the participation question. And she's saying that, oh, Helen has lost connection. We're still here, Helen, so maybe go out and come back in again. Helen, or Siobhan Nugent is saying, we supply all our snacks. Could you suggest some areas, other areas to cover participation?
Good question. So participation, if we just look at the definition for it, so participation, everyone should be encouraged and allowed to participate in the decisions that affect their health. So that's about getting the involvement of the children. Harder to do in the baby room. So let's focus on your toddlers and your toddlers and wobblers. Is there any aspect of your routine that you can get more involvement from the children? For example, can they choose when to go change nappies, for example? So you might have 10 a.m. I'm going changing nappies. Do you ask the children, okay, lads, we're starting changing nappies. Zoe, do you want to go first? Bethany, do you want to go first? Or, just give a little more choice and independence and participation in their routine. Also as well, if children are hungry outside of your snack times, do you allow them to have a banana? you know, they're 20 minutes from snack time. I remember we had a child and he was desperately frustrated in the morning, and he'd be opening up the fridge, just wanting his snack straight away. 2 minutes after coming in the door, he just wanted his snack. So we ended up giving him an apple or a banana so he can start his day. Everybody else was free playing, and his whole demeanor completely changed when he had more participation and control over his day. And it just turned out that the morning was very rushed. He was one of 4 to get out the door in the morning, and everything was just a little bit hectic, and he just needed a moment to just sit down, enjoy a little bit of fuel and food before he could engage in his day, and it completely transformed the day. So go back to the definition and think of your service, and it's just about being reflective. Michelle, do you have anything to add there?
I'll pick this up again in the emotional well-being, Abina.
Okay. Cool, no problem. So cool, I'll move on. So we spoke about holistic, quality, sustainable, right? Let's go with this one. So sustainable. So you have 2 examples here as well. And it is the definition again, it's straight there in your manual, at the back of your manual. And it's about that action should be not tokenistic or once off. So 2 examples there would be, if you have a healthy eating policy, it should be your healthy eating policy, no matter if it's a special occasion, a birthday, a national holiday. Try and focus on healthy eating every single day, in particularly, I suppose, on these special occasions like birthdays or national holidays, that you're also focusing on healthy eating. And this service, they were looking particularly inside their toddler room, and they saw that where they would have always regarded themselves as a healthy eating setting, on reflection, this was not always sustained or consistent. So daily, they would have ensured that their children were eating healthy snacks, and healthy snacks were coming in from home, and they were offering healthy food. But on reflection, this positive message about healthy eating was not reflected in the materials that they provided. So when they looked in their home corner, they had more toy ice cream and buns and donuts and all other kind of delicious food inside there, but healthy foods examples were not included. So to be more consistent with their healthy eating message overall during the year, then, they also looked at their healthy eating message over the year. And when it came to events like birthdays, Halloween, Christmas, and Easter, a big part of the celebration was to have a party with sweets and crisps and dilute drinks. So they completed the and they completely changed their practice now. So they are a lot more mindful of that health promotion should not be tokenistic, but evident in all parts of their practice. So back to point number 1 as well, that health promotion is the core of your business. In our home area, we got more fruit and vegetables from Lidl and Aldi. They do great offers throughout the year, especially the run up to Christmas, if you keep an eye out there. And added healthy cookbooks, which is a great example I got from another service as well. I added it in here. So they had lots of visuals for very young children that, oh, we're going to have shepherd's pie, or we're going to have pasta. And then they found that children were talking an awful lot more about healthy foods, cooking them, and it was coming through in their play. That's an example on its own. You can also as well just talk as well too about how during different times in the year you might have moved away from having party food, we'll call it, with treats and sweets and dilutes, and moved to other types of healthier party foods. So at Halloween we dressed up and played traditional games, easily done in the Toddler and Wobbler room. At Christmas we fundraised for a local charity and we wore Christmas jumpers. That's something parents in the baby room in particular would love to be part of. And at Easter, we asked families to design Easter bonnets and brought them in. And we also brought in a little chick and a calf for the children to see. So if you do have parents as well in your community that are willing to get involved, if they're coming from a cultural background, use that kind of stuff. And I suppose it's about celebrating these cultural events, not with unhealthy foods, but maybe think of activities or think of healthy foods as well. So you can use that same example here as well in your nutrition section that we'll be talking about later. So even if you're giving the same example for 2 different sections, that's absolutely fine. If you want to talk about, you know, your sugar board and how it was helpful in the oral health, the nutrition, you can do that as well. So bring your good work forward, no problem with that at all. While now this service, I suppose I just wanted to put that in there, that while this service do celebrate birthdays with a cake, they are phasing that out too, and by next year they're going to ask parents for a fruit platter or custard and jelly instead. So if you are in a process of moving from one way of doing things and you're at point A and you're trying to get to point B, that's absolutely fine too. I suppose we're very conscious too that some of you have started this training in, you know, November, so maybe you've had a lot of children that were with you before and you just want to make sure that, you know, you have consistent policy, and maybe then by the next time the rest of the families come into your service, you've integrated into a new policy and new culture, and it's easier to take off then. I don't want to run out of time, so I'm just going to very quickly, you can read this next point if you want in be available to you. I don't need to kind of give you the 2 of them right now. So intersectorial. So what do we mean here by this? Michelle's laughing at me because I stumbled over this word last night, but I was practicing since 9:00 this morning. So there. This means that you're engaging with other professionals and how you took their advice and instruction from maybe Early Childhood Ireland, the National Childhood Network Help Desk, which is always available, drop them an email, or your local county childcare committee, or TUSLA. I find TUSLA very helpful too. If you are going to change any structural things in your building, make sure you ask TUSLA, hey, your local TUSLA office, drop them an email. This is what I'm planning on doing. Can you foresee any issues? And they can advise you with that, instead of having an inspection and then spending maybe more money than trying to correct something to maybe be more suitable to what they're looking for particularly. So drop them an email and try and get their involvement as well. So this is about just collaborating basically with other institutions and organizations, and that definition is given in your manual here. The one example that I've given here, it's 186 words and has a couple of things jumping out at it. So we use agencies to help enhance our health promoting practices over the year, and this includes Early Childhood Ireland, the National Childhood Network, our local dentist, and the local HSC from the HSC, and our local nurse. We shared an Early Childhood Ireland 20-minute podcast with our staff on effective and supportive developmental interactions for toddlers and babies based on the Matty Mayo approach. And there's so many videos and clips, resources there, and I would encourage anybody please to go on that and see, does it maybe apply to your service? We did this because we wanted to develop a more standardized approach between our staff when interacting and caring, creating attachments with our young children. We can now use this resource to help train in and explain our culture to new staff going forward. We sought support then from the National Childhood Network to help us communicate to families on how to prepare and transport ready-to-use bottles of formula milk for our babies once we discovered from the training that this was the best practice. And this is what TUSLA are looking for. The bottles are pre-prepared, which for a lot of service was like new information as well. So we're here as well to support you if you need to transition parents into that new way of doing it. And we organise our local dentist from the HSC, which by the way comes out free of charge, to talk to our toddlers about the importance of teeth brushing and eating healthy snacks. And they do a wonderful presentation. And we organised that one of our parents, who is a community nurse, to speak to our children about the importance of hand washing. There's a couple of things in there that you could elaborate on that will be an answer in itself. So I kind of squashed them all together to give you a better look of it. And I have the last one here. You'll be glad to know. Is it last? Yes, the last one here with 2 minutes to spare. multi-strategic. So that is about using many strategies are used to develop the health promoting programs, initiatives, and interventions. So that example is given in your manual. And the one example that I have for you anyway is teaching children the importance of hand washing and correct sneezing and coughing techniques. In particular, you can do this with your toddler age group. Due to COVID-19, the pandemic, washing hands and using correct sneezing and coughing technique has become very important. We recognize that teaching these skills correctly early it will help to ensure that they become embedded and a lifelong skill. And you can see that coming through a lot in the health promotion module. We're talking about embedding skills and attitudes, and that they will be a lifelong skill going forward. So bring that as well into your answer. We gather resources referenced in the Healthy Ireland training from websites from www.healthpromotion.ie and www.safefood.ie. So if you haven't already, please go on those websites, because they give you free leaflets, pamphlets, brochures, posters. It's absolutely fab. Again, don't be
we lost you there a wee minute, Abina.
Oh, sorry. That was my computer telling me to slow down, maybe. Am I back on?
Yes, you're back now.
Oh,
That's
perfect.
great.
Oh, I'm gone slightly over. So go on to those websites. They give you brochures and pamphlets and posters if you haven't already, and send them out to your parents when the time arises. We got families involved too by sending home the posters and sharing the videos of the Rufus hand washing program on our Facebook page. We sing the Rufus hand washing song every day with the children when they wash their hands before snack, and we encourage parents to do the same. One of our parents is a nurse, and she very kindly demonstrated hand washing and coughing techniques with the children. They love the experience, and obviously now with COVID, if you're not in a position to do that in your service, you can do that outside in your outdoor play area as well. Or if you even leave that point out, it's still a very good answer. And it's 145 words. Okay, that's me done. I'm sorry if I went a little bit over.
You're grand. Okay. You're only a little tiny bit. 2 minutes. You did very well. Well done.
I hope that was clear anyway to everybody. And look, if you have any questions, pop them into the chat anyway. We're here to help.
Abina, just to remind people, we think that they should do the health promotion piece at the end when they've done all the other modules to make it easy for you guys. So you can start off with a different module, but what we would say is to do that health promotion piece last.
Yeah.
And you can use the same examples too. You know, if you saw something really great in nutrition and you said, gosh, that really works as well for, you know, participation, pop it in.
Okay, folks, we're going to move on and we'll keep an eye, Maureen will keep an eye on the chat box there. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about nurturing emotional well-being for babies and toddlers. So, first of all, I'm really excited about this because this is the first time we're going to have portfolios in for babies and toddlers. So from the birth to 3. So and I want to thank the tutors for really supporting the training in relation to that, getting the messages across. I want to thank all the participants who actually came to the training. And I want to thank the people who sent in information to me already. I want to thank Little Feet Creche for giving me for giving me permission to use their portfolio and some of their evidence. I want to thank Toddler. I'm using some of yours as well. I want to thank so many early childhood services who may not have been able to give me pictures, but they gave me stories and anecdotes of the things that they're doing. And I am hoping to share those with you tonight, the little stories that you have been sharing with me in relation to nurturing emotional well-being. So I'm going to start off, and if Maureen, you can keep an eye on that box for me, that'd be great. Hopefully this is, Can everybody see that, Maureen? Give me a thumbs up. Grant, okay. So the first question is, how does the baby and toddler room engage with the resources provided through the programme? And you can see here we've got a range of examples in relation to the programme. So this also would relate back to what Abina was talking around participation. So offering children choices and supporting them to participate in different activities. So you'll actually see a lot of that coming through on the different examples I have. And the first example is there, and we have it with a little date actually. So thank you for that. And I actually wasn't asking for dates, but people were sending them in anyway. So and it doesn't matter. You can do it whatever way you want. We play lap games with the babies and movement games with the toddlers, and we observe their facial expressions and their body language. And then there's lots of different examples where educators were using the books with the children, and then the children had access to them whenever they wanted. And we've got a lovely example there where I think it was Susan's own setting in Cork, used the resources of the programme at different times of the day, in story time, at music and movement, and at different parts of the day, and at movement time. So you can see the examples are short. It doesn't have to be long in terms of what you're giving me. And if you need to black out your baby spaces or your adult spaces, that's okay. Just send them in whatever way you can. And as I say, you can do this electronically. And you can see there that I have the question up above, and I've just put the picture and the example below that. And if you wanted to do that to make it easy for yourselves, this is an example of how you might be able to structure how you send in your evidence. So then the question asked in 1B, how are these resources made available and accessible to the child at all times? And you can see we have the little singing basket there. I didn't actually have a picture from an actual setting, but they were telling me about this, that they had put Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, which is one of the songs of the programme, into a little basket, and the children were going over and picking it up, and that was their choice to sing that. And I also wanted to let you know is that the music will be available and sent out to you soon. So all the lap games that you have, all the movement games that you have, the music will be sent out to all of you shortly. We're just finalising a platform for that music. And we hope that you will share it with your parents and that you will use it in your setting alongside the other resources that we have provided. So we've got an example here. We have introduced the resources of the emotions book, and we leave the lap games and movement games in a basket so children can choose anytime they want. And again, back to that participation that Abina was talking about. We added in some visual resources, so the stars, so the babies can pick up the star if they want to hear Twinkle Twinkle. The resources are left out during the day and at different places, so the children can access these when they wish. And we have also added into children's different experience of this. So I can't see at the bottom there, guys, when I'm screen sharing, so apologies for that. In our setting, we have introduced the movement cards to the toddlers, and Josh has chosen his favourite, which is Row, Row the Boat. So you can see it's exactly what it says on the tin, folks, and there's little captions after every single picture that shows exactly what you are doing. I thought this was a lovely example from a setting for older toddlers, because some of our toddlers, particularly in the preschool, even are 2 and 8, and the settings are using different ways to use the books and things like that, and particularly in a creche where you might be sharing or linking in with a preschool. I thought this was a great idea. For older toddlers, we have developed a prop box using the happy, sad and angry books. And this is helping our toddlers deal with their emotions We added mirrors, a timer, and a spy bottle, which I thought was really interesting. And they're often used as a great distraction for younger babies and toddlers, particularly during transition time, while they're waiting for a bottle or their dinner to come, which there can be pressure point times during the day. So that's just some examples that we have from the settings. The second question is around the key person system. And I know a lot of you are absolutely putting this into practice. And I suppose the challenge of the training this year was to get you to reflect on that in different ways. And the question is that you've embedded this into practice. How does the baby toddler practitioner provide opportunities for children to engage with a small number of consistent adults over a large period of time during the day, over the time that the child is in the setting? So that is about consistency. It's about the looping strategy, which I know that for some of you was a new thing, and I'm going to show you ways that people have actually been doing the looping strategy, and everybody's on a different point of their journey. And I suppose we were asking you to take an experimental approach to this, but it's about consistency in relationships. How do we ensure that our babies and toddlers are experiencing the same one or two adults, and that there's not so many people and a revolving door coming in and out of the setting? And of course, it's all about attachment, which you would have learnt about in the training, and about how we provide that consistency. So we have some examples here of the key person in operation. This setting ensures, where possible, the same adult changes their key child's nappy, puts them down for a sleep, and wakes the baby and child up for a feed or for a bottle, or supports lunch and playtime across the day. If this is not possible, we ensure that the secondary person, whoever the secondary carer is in the room, can support this. And they have said that we try to keep the number of adults to a minimum where we can. Our key worker system in process, one of our practitioners are having some one-to-one time with one of the children, and the child gets this time to interact and bond, and they can look at the child's interests. Again, that links back to what Abina was talking about in relation to participation, because when we know our children well, we know what they're interested in, we can read their cues and gestures, we can follow what they're trying to say or who they like to play with, for example, and to allow for child-centered play and emerging interests. And it allows children to form and develop their skills of identity and belonging. And I want to thank Abina for providing this rota. So this is just an example of a rota system to show the key person system in operation. So, you know, it's as simple as that, folks, to see how the baby room or the toddler room is managing that in terms of, and you can see the consistency there with a number of people who are working across the baby and toddler room. So that just gives me a good heart that that we've got good attachment, good relationships, which is the cornerstone for good interactions for children. So it's a good example, and you can see there, Abina has given me all the Smiths. You don't have to give everybody's name or anything like that, but it just is a good example of actually how you can show your consistency in action. So so I want to come on then to the next part of question 2, which is around observation and learning stories. And you're asked for an example of 2 of these, and I've given you a couple of examples. So the first example is that we have been using the Baby Face Emotions book every day. We point to the words, pictures, and feelings in the moment when children are experiencing different emotions. So that would have been the book that I gave you as part of your training. So that would out into your settings. And they would have started with happy and sad. We noticed that the children are now lifting the book and showing it to us when they want to tell us if they're happy or when they've been sad. They also lift up the book when they've been crying or another child is upset, and they start to point to the picture of happy and sad, which I thought was really good in terms of getting children to start to notice and to understand their feelings. We have another example here. We noticed that Aoife was settling in and she wanted to play with her baby a lot and was holding her baby really close. So that's a good example. When children are unsure about things, they do keep their personal items or their transition objects close to themselves. And when she was playing with other playthings, the baby was always close by. So while playing with the baby, she said, "Baby happy," when they were playing a game together. And again, I'm going to link back to Abina, where she talked about the 2-worded sentences in terms of supporting children's learning and development. And this setting has extended Aoife's learning by giving her a mirror. She took turns kissing the mirror and then kissing the baby. Aoife is starting to learn about her sense of self, feelings and emotions. And you can see here the role play is helping her to learn. Another example would be at the bottom here, where there are some of the other resources that we have in our settings for emotion. So whatever other books that you might have, or it could be mirrors, or it could be anything at all that you use to support emotions. You can take a photograph of it, you can screenshot it, whatever it is, and add it in as evidence. Another example was that we noticed that Finn was restless straight after nap time. He often wanted to run about as soon as he woke up. We made sure there were lots of physical activities for him straight away. If we wanted to do other activities like painting, we waited until after this physical time was finished, or we painted outdoors. I thought that was a great link to the physical activity section of the programme, because we know that emotional well-being and physical activity are inextricably linked. They're really linked closely together. So I thought that was a nice thing that the setting had shared. That's wonderful. So in terms of question 2, it also talks about signposting to other services, and some settings have taken pictures of their notice board. We know that during the COVID, parents are not getting into settings, but maybe a photo that you had pre-COVID, or maybe an example of a WhatsApp or email to parents would suffice as well. So whatever you have that you provide for parents around support to mental health. It could be something as simple as a link to the parent and toddler group in the area, or whatever it is, but all of that would work towards supporting information for parents. So then on to question 3, we have, how does the baby and toddler staff ensure there are consistent and predictable routines, and these routines are considered rituals? And we talked about that a good bit at the training, how important it is, whether it's nappy changing, whether it's you're having your bottle or lunchtime. Those are things that happen every day, and sometimes they can be done very quickly or without a lot of thought, because we're racing through to do other things. And I suppose I really wanted you to reflect and think about that. So here's some examples that we got in from some of the settings. We introduced warm blankets into story time, and the children loved listening to the stories wrapped in their blankets. And I thought I would just love that. I just love story time myself. And the thought of being wrapped in a cozy blanket during story time just sounded absolutely lovely. One setting had said that they wanted their story time and one-to-one with the babies and toddlers to feel special. So they revamped a chair that was in the room. They put nice cushions on it, and they left things out that they, like the lap games or the movement games, and you can see that they've added in whatever other resources that they had in the setting. But I think it's a blanket over a chair basically, but they have revamped it up, and I thought that was nice. Some of the settings said that they started to use essential oil, so maybe having some nice lavender in the baby room, or in the nappy changing area, maybe to give nice smells, and there were lots of lovely aromas coming through, because that doesn't always happen in the nappy changing area, let's face it. Another setting, I didn't have a photo for the mobile, the setting just hadn't sent me in, so I've just given you an example of a mobile, but what they've said is that we thought our nappy changing area looked a little bare, so we added some interesting mobiles and pictures for children to look at. And in fact, I would encourage you to lie down on the nappy changing area and take a look up and see, what are children looking at? What can they see? How can we make it special for them? Because they do get their nappy changed quite a lot. And it's a great way to show how we've made it special for them. And we all like things to be made special for us. So it's about making things special for children. Other examples that we had, and this is from Toddler. You can see there, they talked about lowering the legs of their high chairs. I thought this is lovely. And the toddlers were able to be positioned closer together and near the table with other children and the adults, so that meal times have become a lot more special for them, So thank you very much, Toddler, for sending that in. And I would just know that that would have a great impact on interactions between children themselves and between the adult and the children. Other examples that you guys have told me about dimming the lights and playing soft music as a signal for sleeping. And you can see in that picture there, I think I took that from the training, when small babies are being fed with bottles, that you turn them all in together so that they feel that they're all together. And then we have a lovely example here when, we try to ensure that when it's sleep time, babies and toddlers are helped to sleep and to wake by their key worker, if possible, or by their second person to support that consistency and continuity. So then we have a question around transitions and how they have been kept to a minimum. And I think I challenged you to count them, to see how many transitions children are actually doing. So I've got a couple of examples here for you. We have a transitioning period, and this is linked back to the looping strategy that we talked about, and about everybody being on a different journey depending on where they were. And remember that the looping strategy is about consistency. And this example says that we have a transitioning period or time for all our children starting and moving up into another room. We ensure that staff meet children in the different rooms and learn about them through their portfolio. So their little workbooks, their learning stories and things that you are gathering. Some of our key people move up with the baby to the toddler room and stay there. Some of the key people support children by staying only for a couple of weeks to settle them in instead. So those were just some examples of what people were saying. Some adults are going up to the toddler room and coming back down to the baby room after a number of weeks, and some are moving up to the toddler room and staying with a number of their key children and maybe going back down to the baby room when their toddlers are ready to move on again. So, I suppose it's part of challenging ourselves and reflecting about our relationships and the importance of those. So I'd really encourage you to have a good think about that. During the pandemic, when settings were closed, the key workers linked in with their children through video chats. Sometimes it was WhatsApp. And when our babies and toddlers came back to the setting, they went back to the same key person they knew so that they would settle back in easier to the setting. And that was just an easy way that people were saying that they were developing their looping system. Another setting said throughout the day, we limit unnecessary transitions, and this links back to Abina. Again, for example, we reflected in the baby and toddler room that not all our babies and toddlers needed to have their nappy changed at the same time. Now we don't line up our babies and toddlers. We feel this was an unnecessary transition. So they're just playing and then they're called one by one or encouraged to come, but they're not all lined up. This has changed our babies and toddlers' behaviour. We also use music and pictures for transition. We use our mood egg, stories and comfort objects for transition to sleep. So those are just some examples, as I say, that people have given us. So lovely. So thank you so much for the people who have sent those in. Everybody okay? We're following all right, Maureen? Yeah, okay. Okay, so question 4 is about supporting your positive behaviour policy. And what I want you to do is really to think about these questions and your own policy. So in your own behaviour policy, you might say, well, in supporting children's behaviour, we make sure that children have lots of opportunities to be outside and to do lots of physical activity. The ethos and atmosphere of the setting is a very positive place for children. You can talk about, you know, you're actually with your emotions book and your lap games, you're actually supporting children to communicate their emotions well. And it's a very, if you think about our program, particularly the emotional well-being, it's supposed to be an empowerment program. It's about lifting children up with every interaction that you do. And this part, I suppose, of your behaviour management, I don't really like to use the word management, but behaviour policy is about empowering children and thinking about your interactive style with the children. So part of it is thinking about, you know, how we talk to our adults, and we're good role models for our children. You might think about putting that into your policy, how we enable children to play for long interrupted periods of time. We see the children as capable and competent. For example, under risky play, we enable children to do that, and we provide for that. We provide supports to children to identify, express, manage, and communicate their feelings. So think about the books that we're using. We might use role play like Aoife, who was putting her baby to bed. You know, so we use play in lots of different ways to help children with their emotions and feelings. We're really tuned into our children, so we read the cues and gestures of our babies and toddlers, and we see that that's important. We know when they might be getting tired. We know that we need to help them to learn to share and to take turns, and we use different times of the day to help us do that. Our feelings are shown, so we're mirroring back. You're tired, I see you're happy today, and we name those in the moment for the children. That should go into your policy. How we help conflicts to be supported. So maybe using pictures, like Abina said, like the stop sign, and obviously resolving issues together, or for older children who are a bit older. Younger children, we use a lot of distraction and modeling, and maybe bringing them over to maybe therapeutic sensory materials when they're, I suppose, when their feelings can overwhelm them. And I found that a great strategy to use when I was in the nursery all those years ago, when children were overwhelmed, particularly young children. They can't talk about it in the moment. They haven't got the language, and they're totally overwhelmed by how they feel. And it's about bringing that down and just saying, "Do you like to come over here for a wee while and we'll play over here in sand, water, whatever it is, your fiddle toys," something that helps them to calm down, and then we can figure out about learning how to share and to take turns after that. And don't forget that your social stories, and I will giving you a template for that, also helps you to do that as well. So you could put some of those in as well. Question 5 is all about how the setting provides opportunities for parents to implement the program at home. And I do have some examples to show you. Some of the settings have been emailing the lap games and the toddler games to parents. So they haven't been sending home the hard copies, but they've been emailing them to parents, or some of them have printed them out. And here's just some examples of what parents sent back. So this is about gathering the voice of the child in a different way. Obviously, we have to ask the parent to fill these in. But here's an example. I sang Twinkle Twinkle to my baby when I changed her nappy. She was very engaged and loved it when I used my hands when singing the song. So we're supporting interactions at home and carrying on that continuity and consistency for those good relationships to help children and their parents reattach after maybe a long day at the setting. She liked it when I used my hand to make the stars, and she would follow my fingers in the air and goo at me. And she really liked it when I tickled her belly with the stars, which I really love that. So we have another example there where I usually sing Row, Row the Boat with different animals, and we usually sit together and hold hands. They were very interactive, and the different speeds. So of course we've got a different row, row, row your boat, and the crocodile's coming real fast. And that's always a good one. And the child naturally enjoyed working together with the boat, because what we were asking was the parent to sit across. And again, we've got the mirror of the adult and the child. So it's all about those positive interactions at home, and suppose supporting families to play together with their children as much as we can. So those are just some lovely examples that we got sent in. And this one is around the hokey pokey. And I think this was a lovely thing for the parent, because they remembered it from their own childhood, and the children, of course, as toddlers, will again. And this child really liked to attempt a balance on one foot, and found it really funny when she lost her balance. And it was a really positive interaction between the adult and the child, and that's exactly what it's all about. If you have parents whose first language is not English, we will be giving them the songs to do, and so the music will help them, and they could really tell you, you could fill the form in for them. So don't be worrying if there are some families whose first language is not English, or they couldn't fill in the sheets or things like that. They can tell you what they did, and you could put it down on the sheet for us if possible. So then I suppose the last thing, and I think I'm coming up on my time, just 1 minute over, which is pretty good. I did say to you earlier on about your own health and well-being, which is very important. We know that you guys have been very stressed, not just on a day-to-day basis, but because of the pandemic as well. And the HSC Health and Wellbeing section are offering a free stress control program starting on the 7th of February. And it covers all different types of stress, including how it affects our bodies and our thoughts. And we think about the children, you know, that's what you're actually helping children to do, to help them to figure out what they're trying to say, and to show them ways that they can support themselves for coping strategies. So it's only right that you have your own coping strategies. It also helps you to overcome panicky feelings, and tips to get a good night's sleep. And I'll tell you, I think we could all be doing some of those. So there is the details of that. And of course, you will be getting all of this. So don't worry about taking down the link there, because that will be provided for you. So that's me finished up in relation to my section. There were some queries around the feedback sheets last night. So don't worry, we will forward them on. Maureen, is there any questions there that that you haven't been able to answer, or that I need to answer?
No.
Guys,
no.
I hope you're okay with all that. And you can see, I'm not looking for reams and reams of information. Just tell me your stories about what you're doing, because I can't wait to see them. So thank you so much. And I'm going to actually pass you over now to Helen, who's going to share her screen and cover physical activity. So thanks, Helen.
Thank you, Michelle. Can you see that okay? Yeah. Great. Okay, I'll kick off. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of start really by getting you to think about physical activity. It'd be lovely to get a bit of a movement break, but I know everybody wants to get finished and out the other side. So just for a bit of a stretch as we're just thinking about the physical activity module. And I'm going to go through again the requirements for the putting it into practice and the self-assessment. But just this is taken from the slides from the course. Just really thinking about the value, and this is what we want to see reflected in your self-assessment questionnaire as it comes back. Really, how does your setting value the importance of physical activity and active play? How do you plan for it and provide opportunities, daily opportunities for physical activity? Getting involved, you know, the higher physical activity levels, the greater the learning. Making it fun. You know, this isn't about scheduling PE, you know, like you might do in junior infants, the once a week or the hour, you know, it's about making it through fun, through play, through interaction. So getting outdoors as much as possible. And we're going to talk a little bit about your outdoor play policy in a minute. And again, just linking back to what Abina was talking about, equality, equity, maybe showing how you have opportunities for boys and girls to develop their, their full range of basic fundamental movement skills. And then working with parents as well. So yeah, just thinking about, just very quickly, I'm not going to go through that, but just maybe to, across the module, try and reflect, how are you supporting these skills with the little ones you're working with? Maybe it's babies crawling, maybe it's wobblers, beginning to kind of climb, beginning to walk, or maybe it's toddlers, they're starting to put those skills together a little bit more, beginning to have some object control. So depending on what, if you're across the service and you've children from, we're looking at babies and toddlers. So, really trying to think about what is it in active play that supports young children's movement and physical development. I suppose just to kind of remind, it's, the importance of working with parents and children's carers underpins all the modules in this, in this program. Michelle's obviously gone through that in great detail with the emotional well-being, but equally with physical activities. So maybe thinking about how you can, share that with parents. In the past, great parents could come in, you could maybe do the Bonados toddle, things like that have been fabulous for partnering with parents, buggy walks, things like that. At the moment, there's probably more restrictions around that, but trying to think creatively. And I suppose that's what we're looking for in terms of the self-assessment, that you've really tried to embed this.
Helen, could you put your sound up a little bit? Sarah's saying she can't hear, so hopefully everybody, I can hear it, but it's a little bit low maybe, Helen, but Sarah, let's try now.
Is that better? Can you hear me better now?
Yes, that's better.
Yeah, is that okay? I'll lean into the mic a bit. Yeah, just shout if you can't, if that faints again. Okay, so yeah, so just working with parents, trying to promote that. And again, this is where you might link back, as Abina had said, some of the principles around, equality, working with parents, participation. Very much can link into the module. You okay? Can you hear me, Michelle?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so just thinking about embedding the module into your curriculum. So it's about active play every day, and you've got a nice little resource in your packs there, with ideas, with tips that you might like to share with parents. So thinking about the outdoors, thinking about sensory play, thinking about messy opportunities out in puddles, using your resources. You got the little balls. So really trying to reflect some of that with your photographs, with showing how you're using the resources, and maybe what you're doing already. I suppose what we're really keen to see is how you've used the Smart Start program to really enhance your practice, as well as exploring new ways of doing things. Okay, so just more examples here. We can see promoting physical activity, thinking about your parachute that maybe you got, and we'll see some examples of that. Maybe the treasure baskets, you've got a lovely little handout and resource, you might like to share that with parents, and thinking about how that supports fine motor skills, babies sitting, being in seated positions. With a little picture here, again, kind of that you can see the link with other modules, the child seeing themselves, the baby seeing themselves in the mirror there, promoting their sense of identity, interacting with the carer who's in front of them, and also having, some kind of ball play, manipulation skills being developed there, bit of tummy time going on as well. So really in that one little clip, we can see lots of fundamental skills, lovely, but in the context of interactions being promoted there. So, you're probably thinking, we're doing this every day, we're doing this lots of times across the day. So it's trying to really capture that and showing how you're promoting it. So that's that. And again, I just going to pick some pictures out here just to highlight really from the program, again, sort of the holistic, and Abina kind of used that word earlier on. So you might like to reflect under holistic that, the physical activity is, it's not just about children being physically strong and being able to do, climb and jump and walk. It's also about, promoting their kind of can-do attitude, their sense of achievement, mastery of new skills, getting lovely feedback, you know, having somebody smile at you because you've done something, you know, you've managed to kind of lift your head up a bit. So, you know, really trying to think about it holistically. I mean, all the modules in many ways are linked, but I suppose when it comes to physical activity, just to really kind of, I suppose, kind of show that it's through the interactions that the holistic well-being is promoted. Okay. And again, just kind of thinking about how it links to other modules. Michelle's just gone through just examples of the lap games, the movement games. You heard we're going to get some lovely music. So again, maybe trying to capture how you're using that in your service with the babies, with the toddlers, the wobblers, and, you know, trying to, you know, I suppose share that with parents as well, you know, the benefits of that. You know, children are growing strong muscles, they're learning coordination, you know, maybe sharing some of the information from the, you know, from the slides that you got on the training. You know, this is how children, you know, and the importance of the early years, that this is where they learn these skills, that, you know, yes, they can learn them later, but it's much better for them if they can have lots of opportunity to practice these. So really just that your self-reflection would kind of reflect that, you know, you're valuing this and seeing this as important. Okay. Yeah, I suppose another thing we covered on the training, and again to try and reflect in your portfolio, is how you're using your space. I mean, you might be fortunate and have fabulous outdoor space. You might be a bit more restricted, and you know, you're not being judged on the state of your outdoor play area in terms of how wonderful it is, but how have you used that space to, you know, really, I suppose, kind of promote learning, promote opportunities for as many of those fundamental movement skills as possible, that it's, you know, it's an enriching environment, it's somewhere the children can have fun in, that obviously it's safe. So, you know, just maybe kind of trying to reflect that in terms of, you know, how, you know, and you know, like Michelle said, she hears stories about lovely interactions. You know, it's great to hear how people are being really creative with quite small spaces. So, you know, just to kind of bear that in mind, that it's not about, I know there's been grants recently for kind of, and people maybe have been able to enhance outdoor space a little bit. I know with COVID, a lot of services I visited in Limerick in another line of work, you know, people being really creative about how they use outdoor space and kind of bring parents on board, maybe having a little stop and drop off time and a bit of play outside, just, you know, in order to have the chat with parents because they can't come in. So, you know, again, really showing that great practice is, you know, is real opportunity, as Michelle said, to kind of really showcase what you're doing in the services to the benefit of young children and their families. So, okay, I'm just going to run through then the actual evidence. So there's 3 pieces required. It's probably the shortest, you know, in terms of the evidence under the different modules. Okay, so the first one is to demonstrate how you engage with babies in physical activity each day and how often. Okay, so, and again, we're looking for 3 images, date and a narrative, a little brief description. So, you know, unlike the first module with health promotion, where there's a little bit more writing, we're really looking for, you know, lots of kind of, I suppose, kind of images, dates. I suppose key here would be that you're showing that you've embedded this across the year. So, you know, making sure that it's, you know, from the start of kind of the academic year right the way through. This isn't just something that was done in February as kind of a project. It's you know, it's really embedded in across the year. Okay, so we'll come on to that. I'll give you some examples of this. And then with toddlers, so we're looking for babies and toddlers. And just separate evidence there, and also to provide evidence of a sunshade, and we'll come on to that in a minute, and then a full copy of your outdoor play policy. So just going to go into those in a little bit more detail, just to give you some examples. And again, thanks Michelle and Maureen, they've captured these from evidence that's already been submitted, so you'll get an idea of what the portfolio could look like. So just going back to the first one here, how do you engage with babies, physical activity every day? And we're looking for 3 images. So they've provided 4 here. So put in a few more if you want, but that's kind of the minimum. We don't want loads of extra. We're not trying to make extra work for you. But just again, trying to show that you've kind of embedded the module in its kind of totality. So we have here an example of the parachute being used. So in August, they've talked about having a small slide. They're encouraging crawling and standing. So those are the fundamental movement skills that they're trying to promote and give opportunity for babies to learn. Babies are crawling from one side to another. They can sit and look out. So again, the interaction with like the bottle feeding, you know, that they're kind of being social and developing those little social skills. They can pull themselves up. And they, you know, the parachute was added to encourage movement and variety. So you can see how kind of, you know, by using that prop, it's been quite, you know, it's different, it's interesting, it's learning. And, you know, they've just taken a little picture of that to kind of demonstrate how that was set up. So in this clip here, we have the next one, we have enjoyed outdoors every day, the children taking turns. So again, there's social skills, social learning there, running around after the ball. Yeah, and they've shown here what they've done to kind of maybe as a result of being on the Smart Start program to really promote outdoor play. They've purchased outdoor trousers for the children so that you know, they can get wet and not worry about having to have lots of wet clothes going home. So fantastic if you know, if you've resources to do that, or you can maybe again with partnership with parents. You know, that whole adage, there's no such thing as bad weather, just bad clothing. So, you know, just really making sure that the children are set up and comfortable and in appropriate gear outside. Then we have this little baby here, tummy time. So again, we know lots of babies find that difficult, and it's, you know, we looked at that through the module, really important to kind of build that up gradually. So they're showing how they've done this and the benefits then, kind of back and neck muscles, putting the toy just out of reach. So again, we've got an example there of the learning, that kind of, you know, just the just outside, maybe the reach, just not to make it too difficult, but so the baby can achieve it. So again, they've just dated that and put a little description underneath. So I think you're probably getting the gist now that it's, you know, it's really kind of capturing, and you may be doing this kind of documentation for other you know, for your ASHTA diaries and your learning records and all of that. So, you know, we're really not looking for you to double up and do loads of extra observations or assessments. You can use what you're capturing anyway. And there's the parachute again with the kind of, with the older ones, hand-eye coordination, lots of giggles, you know, so that's lovely to see. It's fun. It's not, this isn't teaching, you know, teaching skills or teaching PE to little ones, it's about building it in every day. Okay, so sorry now. Yeah, we just have some more examples here. Move that out of the screen. So some nice kind of sensory play here. Children love the water play. Somebody mentioned that in the chat earlier, I think, using it to wash the baby dolls. Again, lovely examples of linking there to the emotional well-being, using kind of language of kind of being kind and, you know, helping Dolly. Children playing in the sand, that, you know, kind of gross motor skills, digging. You know, you've got links there to early literacy and numeracy and all those opportunities, trucks and diggers, again, making sure boys and girls have access to all of that. Older babies are encouraged to stand, move around using the indoor garden area. So again, moving, you know, you might have wobblers who are a little bit unsteady. So thinking about where, you know, where they can get their space, making sure they have opportunities every day to be outside as well. And they've just included a little narrative down here at the bottom, providing children with adequate environments and equipment for them to be healthy and fit as they can. So you've got a link to your ASHTA wellbeing there. Active child is a happy child, the benefits of exercise. So again, you might even include how you've shared that with parents there. We promote and encourage this behaviour, as we know there is a link to children's physical activity and their health and well-being. So again, going back to the first module, the health promotion module, very much you could use that example there for kind of holistic well-being that Abina was giving us an overview of earlier on. Okay, and yeah, again, the link, create the link with the parents to continue the program at home. So really sharing these ideas with parents, you know, how great this kind of outdoor opportunity can be. As we said earlier, we know that for some children, their access to outdoor play is restricted. Maybe they're living in housing that doesn't have access to safe outdoor, they don't have a garden, they might be in apartment blocks, residential, you know, hostel living. So, you know, really promoting and having this opportunity and, you know, giving the parents kind of the feedback on that, and making it very accessible. And just a link there to it, exploring and thinking. It's, you know, it's so enriched. We know that when children are outside, the opportunity for learning is, you know, is risky play, that kind of dramatic play. It's bigger, it's more large scale. So, you know, the benefits are just huge, really. So sharing that with parents. Sorry, I'll just go back to that last one. Yeah, so that was just in relation to toddlers. So the first one we had was with the babies, and then we're looking for the same evidence of three examples across the year with toddlers. And we're also looking for just some evidence that there is shade in the outdoor space. So again, I've just put in a few pictures. You know, you may be lucky enough to have kind of a purpose-built sort of shaded area if you've a large premise. If you haven't, I suppose, again, we've become very adapted to kind of outdoor space over the last few years. So, you know, maybe whether it's temporary shades, big parasols, perhaps smaller spaces, but just, I suppose, again, in recognition that, you know, young skin is very vulnerable, and just the importance of that as a kind of safety message. So it might be part of something that you've worked on in this program to actually develop that, or it's something that you feel, look, that's something we'd love to have, a more permanent shaded outdoor space, something we're working towards. But I suppose we're really just looking that there's evidence that that's being made available, and that safety around sun and skincare is part of your working with the young children. Okay. Okay, sorry, I had that slide out of sync here. So just this, back to the toddlers again. Again, we can just see we're looking for the same kind of evidence, really. So it's just across the different age ranges. And this is a different creche here, and they've shown how they've done some lovely outdoor play, kind of sensory play outside, washing dolls in a big bath, digging and exploring in the outdoor space, and then some kind of indoor, you know, in a little toy kitchen, supporting walking. And they've just outlined there the importance of getting outdoor activities regardless of the weather. They're outdoors. They provide the waterproof trousers, encourage the indoor play throughout the day. I suppose going back to our module where you know, young children should not be seated for more than 15 minutes unless it's in high chairs, unless they're eating. So really restricting that, where little ones have to sit for any length of time, that they're provided lots of opportunity to be active, moving. Yeah, and so just some of the resources they've listed here. The Buntus bags that were kind of out in services a few years ago, just with balls and parachutes, volleyball, tennis, water play, climbing frames. So, you know, you may have, part of this program, added in some materials. You know, you may have developed your mud kitchen, maybe got some tunnels for indoor soft play, maybe some additional outdoor bikes or balls, whatever it is. So I suppose it's just really trying to share that, how you've developed, or maybe plans that you have. As I say, you may have a bigger project that you'd like to develop and you're some way through that. So just kind of reflecting on that. Okay. Yeah. And I suppose just the last part then is part of the requirement is to provide a full copy of your outdoor play policy. And I suppose what's important here is it's not just the front page or kind of the content page, it's actually the full policy. And I suppose the QRF is, you know, is a really important document there that will kind of support you with that. Bernardo's have a great book as well with kind of sample policies. So again, if that's something you want to develop, I've just outlined some of the areas that you might like to work on, or, you know, that a policy should contain. So kind of planning for learning. So how does the outdoor space support learning? You know, how is it a learning environment, so that you've documented that. And again, you might reflect in there how you're trying to develop that, maybe a new construction area, and you're getting new sand in, and you're going to keep that safe and covered. And, you know, so you've just you're describing how you're using that, what play opportunities it provides, going back to the fundamental movement skills there, kind of what opportunities for learning, what types of learning, the play value, kind of, I suppose, again, catching the ethos of the program, really, how, you really value this. It's not just a space for children to let off steam, it actually is a really enriched learning environment. Your supervision policy, so it's obviously overlaps here with some of your other policies that that you have in the service under the regulation. The equipment and the area maintenance. So again, that you might have in reviewing this have, realized actually we'd like to use this area, but it's not particularly safe because it's adjacent to the road. Things get thrown in at night. But we've got a new plan around this to make sure we can access it and use it. So just trying to be creative again with space that you have. And then sort of outings. This links into maybe you take the children to an adjacent park, or you take them down the road to a space. Maybe the older toddlers are doing a little bit of road safety and walking down the road and up to the school and back, or so this links into your policy and all the benefits of that for all kinds of learning, physical activity, but also that kind of link in their community and their well-being, their identity. And sorry, that should be a separate point there, communication with parents. Again, just how you're sharing this with parents. So yeah, just really to reflect there kind of how you've developed your policy. So just to include it in there, and you might like to even just highlight or, just do a small paragraph just to highlight maybe anything you've particularly developed on that you'd like to share, that you'd like to, I suppose, highlight as part of your Healthy Island work. Okay, I think that brings us up, and I'm just on time as well, I think. Felt like I flew through that.
Yes, that's grand, Helen. Thank you very much. We do have 2 more to go, so guys, we're going to keep going. We are continuing to listen, to hear you through the chat box, guys. So you can keep asking, and we will keep answering your messages through there. So up next we have Claire O'Shea, and Claire will be talking about nutrition. So thank you for that, Helen. And we'll get Claire up next.
It normally helps if you unmute before you start to speak. Michelle, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, let's rock on. So everybody, I am doing the nutrition part. It's not too taxing, and you've seen, obviously from the examples already, you've seen how to date your images and give little examples. So I will run through the questions with you first. So here we have question 1. How does your early years setting support children to learn good feeding practices? And the suggestions are eats points, independence, equipment, and comfort. So firstly, you are being asked to either give 100 words or provide photographic evidence with a brief narrative. So firstly, I'd like you to make sure that you refer to your manual for the full definition of eats. So you're talking about the environment. Is it an enjoyable occasion? Is the educator there? And how can you avoid limits and distractions? You've got attention, so encouraging and praising the child for eating, avoiding giving attention to or offering an alternative meal or a snack if a child refuses a meal or a snack, and offering rewards such as playing their favorite games. You've got your timing, so is there a good routine? Are the children always eating in the same way? And are you taking into account growth spurts and so on? And finally, the setup, is your seating appropriate? Is it safe and comfortable? And is there equipment to promote independence? So I've just given an example here of a written answer. So say you could respond with, at meal times, the children all sit together and the educators also eat and chat with the children. They sit at a child-sized table and their feet comfortably touch the ground. The children develop independence by collecting their own cups for their snacks and meals, and each child can choose what they want to eat from a selection of healthy snacks at snack time. They do not have to try everything, but there is always more if they are hungry. So that's a brief example of a description. But I think personally, I prefer the photographs because you can showcase what you're doing so much more. Michelle's amazing image, I thought it was fantastic, of the cutting the legs off or lowering the legs of the seats was just brilliant. I think that's so nice for the children. And when it comes to sitting comfortably and being an interactive environment, that also kind of falls under line with what the EATS points are asking for here. So just underneath this now, the next page. Sorry, now I never opened my slideshow. Hold on. Okay, slideshow should be working now. Okay, so underneath that, the next page then here, you've got the 14th of September 2001, and this is one of Maureen's examples that she got permission to send out. You can see they've written, the children eat healthy snacks and have water in their sippy cups. Now you can add to that description completely, and you can say in image 1 here, you've got the little girl and she's sitting comfortably eating her raspberries and in a child-safe environment for her age. And then the next picture is showing that the children are interacting at the table. They've got their healthy snacks, they've got their sippy cups. So you can elaborate more on your images to showcase yourself more. We won't talk about image 2 for a second, even though it's relevant, I suppose. They're saying here that they made their sugar test of all the foods that the babies and toddlers would have for lunch in the setting and the treats parents would give children at home. There were some very shocking surprises that both staff and parents found, and we found that after we put this up, there were changes in the children's lunches. So that's about providing your healthier snacks and giving good examples of why and what things may not be so good for the kids to have. Okay, so question 2. How does your early years setting foster partnership with parents in relation to healthy eating, specifically child-sized portions? And then you have suggestions of meet and greet sessions, parents information sessions, newsletters, Facebook page, information leaflets on healthy lunches, snacks, etc. So I have written this example with the past 2 years in mind on how that you haven't had the interactions with parents coming in the same way, and you've had to be quite novel about how you're sharing information. So this one is looking at this example here. It says now, during this year, we have shared nutrition information with our parents via email and Facebook and our app. The weekly menu is displayed on the app. Information shared with parents this year included a link to the healthy eating guidelines 1 to 4 years and asked them to take note of what a child-sized portion is like for their child's age. The older toddlers made a sugar display, which is the image before, and it was a great talking point for the children. We shared the activity on Facebook and parents commented on how it made them think more about providing healthier food. So that's a written example, that's your 100 words. But instead of that, you could put a screenshot of your menu being displayed on the app as an example. You can, like I've done an email out here that could potentially be sent out here saying, hi everyone, please follow this link to the Safe Food Healthy Eating for 1 to 4 year olds booklet, and then a link to it, and just saying we've adopted this booklet to help us ensure we are providing the children with right quantities of food from each level of the food pyramid. There's also a really good guide as to how to determine portion size for your child. I hope you find this useful. Claire, I put my own name, but like a simple email like that out to the parents, it's sharing with them the information of what you're doing nutrition wise. You're also encouraging partnership with parents on how they can provide more nutrition for their children and how they can be more aware of portion sizes and the different quantities they need from each level. So that's a simple email, and hopefully it wouldn't be too taxing to send it out to the parents, but a very useful way of getting information across to them. Okay, so that's question 2. And finally then, question 3, how is support provided for parents, children and staff on the topic of suitable drinks up to 12 months, e.g. information provided to parents, sugar and food displays on view, and so on. So once again, you're being asked to give 100 words or provide photographic evidence with a brief narrative. So here they're asking, this is like the little red bits are kind of additional ideas of what you can do. So include as many pictures as you can with the narrative. How do you support parents, children and staff on the topic of drinks up to 12 months? Look at what you do in terms of provision of drinks and food. Do you have a parents' notice board to promote healthy eating? or our parents or a parent's interest table. Okay, so here's a response that came into the NCN. We encourage parents, staff and children to drink healthy drinks by providing information on the sugar contained in food and drink. In our healthy eating policy, we stipulate that water and milk are the preferred drink options for all children in our service, but particularly for children under the age of 12 months. We ask that parents provide sippy cups for the children to drink water from during their meal times. And if they are thirsty during the day, bottles are used at specific bottle feeding time and are not used with meals or throughout the day. So there's their written blurb. And then they've had a Zoom meeting here at the beginning of the year with their parents, and they've sent a screenshot, or they've saved a screenshot of it. And the Zoom meeting is discussing all of these bits and policies and what they encourage the parents to do, and, you know, drinks and everything else. So, like, it's not, none of the nutrition module in particular, it's not too taxing. It's what you're doing already. And if you have ideas of how you can make it better, then you could also write that in your blurb about what you've done. So Michelle's picture again of the tables being lowered for the kids would be an ideal example to say, you know, we observed this and we changed it to make it better. So that's that. But I have one more little thing. Okay, I'm going to take you very quickly out of the screen share, or out of this screen share. And I'm going to take you to a website that, where is it gone? And oh my God, can I take them to websites from this? Michelle, any idea?
If you're sharing your screen, you might unshare first.
Okay. Sorry, guys.
And then put your whatever your link is, and see if you can share the screen of your link. You know, when you've got it up, call it up first on your computer, Claire. You're with the link open, and then try it.
Sorry, guys. Now I thought this would work the same as it does on a normal night. Oh, I know why it's not there, right? Because I'm looking at the wrong thing. Okay, so Patricia in the office sent this to me. Can you see that now? I've got the Safe Food website.
You need to stop sharing your first screen.
How do I that now? Sorry, guys.
No, you're grand, Hal or Claire. Just stop screen sharing first.
That's not coming up for me. Oh, there it is. Duh, I moved it, right. Okay, new share. Here we go, guys.
New share.
New share. Here we are at this link that is there in your
there we
in
go.
the PowerPoint was from Patricia. She was sent it from Safe Food the other day, and I think this is a brilliant thing to share with your parents, or to you know, play around with your staff, or even if you've older toddlers who might get the idea. So you're comparing drinks. Use our checker to see the sugar content. All right, so choose a drink. Let's see, something that the children might be bringing in every day. High fruit squashes or cordials. Now, they're not bringing them in every day, but you know, they might bring them in. And choose a brand. So we're going to go with Tesco High Juice, and then click Show Me. And this amazing little tool comes up immediately with how much sugar per 200 ml serving is there, and the equivalent in teaspoons of sugar. So that's another, like,
that's fantastic.
Wait,
Claire.
isn't it cool? Yeah, no, Patricia sent it to us, and that'll be helpful for the oral health as well. So I just wanted you to see it and play around with it. It's on safefood.net, and the link is in my previous one. So hang on, I'm going to stop and go back. Share screen again.
And don't worry, Claire, because your link will be on the last slide.
Yes, of course it will. That's right. So that's that. And yeah, guys, if you've any questions, pop them in the chat, and hopefully that's cleared a few bits up around nutrition for you, or maybe made you more confident that what you're doing is bang on already. So thanks very much, guys, and I'll let Michelle take over again.
Grand. Thank you so much, Claire, for that, and great to see I suppose the new information coming through in relation to that from Safe Foods. And it's great, you know, because I think people get very confused when they have to lift it up in a supermarket and trying to figure out, you know, how many spoonfuls of sugar do I think there might be in this, or is this healthy, or this is not. And I think it's brilliant that that tool is there to support people to really look at that. So thank you for sharing that. And somebody saying, Siobhan Nugent said you could make a lovely poster using information on drinks. That's a great idea, Siobhan. Somebody's going to do that. Siobhan's going to do it first. So that's brilliant. So last but not least, guys, Helen and Claire, we will keep an eye. There's been no specific questions, but we'll keep an eye in relation to your module on the chat. So last but not least, we have Natasha, and she is going to give us a rundown on supporting the oral health through the self-assessment. So Natasha, I'll ask you to take it away.
Okay, hi everyone. I'm conscious I'm last, and I'm conscious everybody probably wants to get home now and just be done. So I'll run through as quick as I can. Luckily, as we're last, a lot of the work has been done. You've kind of seen the examples of the format to lay it out and things like that. Oral health, to me, I feel is probably one of the easier ones to do, as it's more a practical module. With the likes of emotional well-being, there's such a broad range of things you can do. I suppose the reason we do it is we have the access to parents. We've done that on our courses. We can get the key messages out there. And oral health, I feel in particular, is one that I suppose parents can struggle with, depending on what type of families you have. I suppose we need to be sensitive of different families' attitudes. Some families may have had negative experiences, maybe, so they might have fears or anxieties around it, or it may just be a low priority in their I suppose their daily routine and things like that. So what I'll do is I'll just run very quickly through. We've 3 questions and 4 parts altogether. One has a double question.
Natasha, before you start, we've got a question asking, are you from Kilkenny? Helen Dugan wants to know. There you are, Helen.
Yes, I am, Helen. Yes.
Kilkenny woman. Fair enough.
She's a local woman as well, I think. Yeah, I am from Kilkenny, so I'm sure you can track me down if you need to.
Up the cat, she's saying. So take it away.
Yes, good woman. Okay, so we'll get moving. Okay, so the first question, I suppose, how do you promote good oral health for babies and toddlers in your service? Okay, and this is a 2-parter. So part A is providing healthy snacks and drinks, fresh fruit, vegetables, milk and water. Okay, so this can be done, I suppose, whether your children bring in their own food and drinks or whether you provide it in your service. It's quite simple. They're just looking for 2 photographs. Each photograph should be dated, as you've seen in the other presentations, and include a brief narrative relevant to the age group. Okay, so Maureen has sent us on the same as with the others, examples that came in through one of the portfolios. As you can see, some of the pictures there are the same ones that Claire had in the nutrition module, and that's perfectly fine. You know, you can just adapt it to suit. Okay, so as you can see, this one then, it's dated there. They've got 3 pictures in it. So the children eat healthy snacks every day. Our healthy eating policy is used every day, and we remind parents to ensure that children have healthy snack and water while in the setting and at home. The children are enjoying healthy fruit snacks and a drink of water. Each child in the photo has water in their drink beakers. They are all enjoying fruit and cheese. We had a healthy lunchbox challenge in October between all the rooms in the creche. The room that eats the most fruit and vegetables during the month of October were the winners of the challenge and got bragging rights over the rest of the rooms. So I'm sure they were pleased. This year, the toddler rooms won the challenge. During the month, we had a wonderful fruit tasting exercise where the children got to sample a huge variety of fruit and vegetables. Okay, so it's fairly simple. Sorry, now I've moved on too fast. Fairly simple. You can see in this format there, you've just got your 3 pictures, your 2 dates, and they've just put one narrative to kind of cover all 3 of them. In some of the other examples, you've seen they had a different narrative for each photograph, and either is fine. Okay, there's just another couple of examples there. The left one is self-explanatory there. It's just different types of food that would be offered. The one on the right is actually one for my own service. It's just during our pajama day. That's just a little electric juicer where we just half the oranges and they get to make their own orange juice. So there's other ways you can do that. You can get either the little juices that are manual, or you can get ones now, I think, that squeeze apart, and that's quite an easy and simple activity. And again, it's showing the children, you know, how to make their own fruit juice out of fruit, and it's bringing that into the service as well. Okay, so part B then, show how you disseminate the oral health key messages to parents or carers, for example, a parents workshop, newsletter, etc. And you will have seen some of this in the other presentations. So again, they're just looking for 2 photographs. Each photograph should be dated, include a brief narrative in less than 100 words. Okay, and again, you've seen in some of the other presentations, 100 words, it's not a huge amount. Okay, so there you go. This one is just given one example. We have a monthly newsletter. We use this to get key messages to parents around healthy eating and oral health. In September, we informed parents about our participation in the Smart Start programme for under 3s. We included our healthy eating policy in our newsletter and requested parental feedback around the same. We also use our notice board to give important information around healthy living for children and babies. Okay, so you can see there again, you've got your picture of your notice board. That was again, I think, in Claire's presentation for nutrition. Other examples there you could give, if you send out a newsletter, you could maybe even put in a picture of your newsletter, a copy of the WhatsApp or email that you sent out. You see there from Claire's presentation, it's quite easy to send out links to certain websites. Healthpromotion.ie, I know, and dentalhealth.ie are 2 websites where you can download some of the leaflets, or you can order them and they can be easily sent out by email. And again, a Zoom call as well. I suppose even though we've had a lot of struggles the last couple of years, it has got services and families a little bit more used to using the resources that are there at our hand online. Okay. So just some more examples then that you could use. How do you teach children toothbrushing from age 2? If that's something you're doing in the service, you could maybe add in pictures of that. Or if it's not something you're doing in the service, you could maybe show the emails or the leaflets that you might have sent home with the information for parents. Okay, puppets are another good idea. A dental nurse, again, obviously during COVID, that's probably a little bit more difficult. But I think most services, I think, can get onto the dental clinic in the local area, and they're usually good support there. Do you read stories about toothbrushing? Other activities that promote oral health. So there's lots of different activities you can use. I suppose you can maybe have a teddy bear and a toothbrush. So anything like that the children would like. I know one of the activities we've got is just picture cards of different types of food. So again, it can just promote, I suppose, a conversation around it for the older children. Okay. A sugar display again was mentioned there earlier. There's just a couple of different examples. These are both based on drinks, but you can do it with anything. One thing I would recommend is perhaps to add in some of the things that are coming in the children's lunch boxes, and some of the things that I suppose are traditionally looked at as healthy. An example might be, I suppose, yogurts are usually looked at as healthy, but there are some that are very high in sugar. And I suppose parents want to do the right thing and believe they're doing the right thing, but often don't have the knowledge. And a sugar display there is a very visual way of getting that out to parents. And that can be put anywhere. It can be put in your parents' area, stood in a window, you know, or even a picture sent home, you know, on an email or a WhatsApp message. Okay, so how do you raise young children's awareness of oral health? Okay, question 2. So again, the following evidence. Okay, so they're looking again for 2 photographs. Each photograph should be dated, include a brief narrative in less than 100 words. Okay, and it's just giving you some examples there. Creating awareness of oral health, for example, daily routines such as brushing Teddy's teeth, picture cards showing toothbrushing in the morning and nighttime, storytelling during circle time, games or play, using open-lidded or non-spill cups, not sippy, and oral health displays. So again, a lot of this stuff is coming up the same in the different presentations. So there's 2 examples there. Again, I think this came up in nutrition. So again, they did the sugar test. So we made our sugar test of all the foods that the babies and toddlers would have for lunch in the setting, and the treats parents would give children at home. There were some very shocking surprises that both staff and parents found. And we found that after we put this up, there were changes in the children's lunches. So again, there, you know, a lot of food as well. A lot of food can be kind of have hidden sugar in it. You know, often things can be labeled as low fat, where they're low fat, but they might be quite high in sugar. You know, so that can kind of confuse the messages as well. So that's just some examples there. Okay, some more examples. We looked at the foods we were using for the sugar test, and we encouraged the children to guess what they thought was good or bad for their teeth. We then stuck down the food on the teeth, the ones that made them happy or sad. We also drew bacteria on laminated teeth and washed them off with water to show how our teeth are sad before we wash them and then happy after. So they're very simple activities that can be done. We also painted our teeth with white paint and paintbrushes and coloured in sad and happy teeth after reading our teeth book. We used egg cartons to make a giant mouthful of teeth. Okay, so again, and I'm sure if you Google it, you'll come up with 100 different activities, and they can all be adapted. So you can see there they've added four pictures in. I think it looks for 2, but obviously 4 again will kind of showcase your service better. Okay. So the last question then, how are the oral health messages linked to other modules? Okay, so we've got our nutrition, physical activity, emotional well-being. We're missing one. Oh, health promotion, sorry. So again, they're just asking you there just to describe it in less than 100 words. Obviously, they're not looking for pictures for this one. This is just an example that came in the portfolio that Maureen sent on. So the oral health message is interlinked with all other modules, particularly healthy eating. If children are eating healthy food and drinking milk and water, it is very positive for healthy teeth. If they are eating processed sugary foods and drinks, then their teeth will suffer. Understanding that link from an early age leads to positive experiences for children regarding their health. If children have good oral health, they will feel happy and have positive emotional well-being. If their teeth are not healthy, they will be in pain and have poor nutrition. This leads to poor mental health. Physical activity is linked to mental health in that children need good hand-eye coordination and fine motor control in order to use their toothbrush to brush their teeth correctly. This takes practice, and at Little Feet, we begin this process early using art activities, puppets, and toothbrushes. Okay, so again, it's just trying to get the messages out there so that families have the knowledge to keep the teeth healthy rather than down the line trying to undo the damage. Okay, so just some more pointers for links with other modules. Okay, so health promotion then creates a supportive environment for good oral and general health. Okay, so you could link it in there. Nutrition obviously links quite a lot with oral health, so providing water, milk and healthy snacks. Sugary foods and drinks are a risk factor for tooth decay. Okay, emotional well-being, so using non-food rewards to reduce sugar. So like we were saying, maybe the fruit platters or something like that instead of birthday cakes or party food. And it's good to see some services are already starting to do that. Okay, and recognizing that the importance of baby teeth promotes self-esteem. So looking after those baby teeth obviously supports their self-esteem. Obviously they've got nice teeth, nobody's saying anything, they're not in pain, you know, and they don't have to go through the trauma of fillings and things. Physical activity then, just to be aware of prevention of tooth accidents and to have a protocol for tooth accidents. So make sure you have it in your policy of what staff need to do if there is a tooth accident in your physical activity. Okay. And yeah, that's me done, I think. Yeah, I think I've covered everything there. So if there's any questions, you can shout at me. Okay.
Yeah, thanks so much,
Michelle. No problem.
Natasha. We've been keeping an eye on the chat box there, yep. And we don't have any questions in. Just we do have some questions in about you know, I suppose in order to make sure that I suppose part of the sustainability model is that you're doing this all the time. So we do need to see current pictures. I know some of you might have had older pictures in the past, but this just shows us that you are continuing to put this practice into your settings. So just to remind you of that. So I see Maureen has put that in the chat box. So I'm sorry, we've run over time just a couple of seconds, but actually, folks, you did very well. I hope that you will find that you found this session supportive in working towards your Healthy Ireland Award. We have a poll of 2 little questions running at the end of the session. So when you come out of the session, I would ask you if you would fill those out for us before you sign off. It's only 2 questions. And this poll will help us to see if we're providing the best support to you. We will be putting this up onto the YouTube channel so that you can watch it again. And we will send the link out to everybody for that. I want to thank you all. I've got a question in from Christine Taylor. She says, what about addiction to soothers? Very hard to get parents on board to be educated about this subject. Will this affect oral health? Does anybody want to take that one?
Can I intervene?
Yep.
So maybe you could inform the parents about the different types of soothers that are out there and the recommendations about when a child should no longer be using a soother. That's actually all in your PowerPoint presentation. So you could share that direct message with your parent, and the information, the websites from www.dentalhealth.ie. As far as I know, there's 2 different types of soothers. There's ones that are orthodontic approved. So maybe it's a stage of seeing where the child is at and weaning them off. So changing the dodie, maybe if they have the big round ones, because they can change the shape of your mouth, especially as the child grows older. So maybe you're talking about an 8-year-old child or a 4-year-old child, I'm not so sure. But if they're an older child, they can suck more, they have more power, and they could be changing the formation of their gums or their palate. So look at the slides, share them with the parents. You have 2 different types of dodies are out there, the big round ones and the ones that are curved, which are behind my cupboard here, but I don't want to open it because it's really messy, so I don't want to show the nation. But like the examples, you'll see them in shops as well. They're orthodontic approved, and maybe you could ask the parent, okay, we'll support you in transitioning the child away from it as much as possible. But even if you could change it to the orthodontic one and then slowly wean it then to, you know, certain times of the day, only sleep time, and do the best you can with that. Work in partnership with the parents and the child.
Thanks very much, Baina, for that. So I want to thank you all for joining us tonight, to our panelists for supporting the session. So thank you guys, you did a great job. I want to thank Maureen McDermott, our HISS coordinator, Patricia Cassidy, who are always working hard in the background for us in relation to the HISS programme, and who is supporting us through technology tonight. I want to thank Helen Ryan, Natasha Riley, Claire O'Shea, and I want to thank you all again. And I also want to say to you, we do have other training available. There is training specifically for babies and toddlers in relation to supporting essential sensory development in babies and toddlers over 4 nights. And that's about brain development and vision and sense of smell and taste. If you're interested in that, please go to the NCN website. And I want to thank you all for participating. Thank you for being great participants and for sending in all your questions. We can't wait to get your portfolios in for your Healthy Ireland Award. And don't forget to do the little poll of the 2 questions at the end. So thanks, folks, and good night to everybody from all over the country.